I never thought of myself as the type of woman who would cheat on her husband. For years, I lived in the comfort of believing I was loyal, devoted, and safe from the kind of reckless passion that destroys marriages. But then Adam Hayes moved in next door, and something inside me shifted. I've been married to Ryan for 8 years. Our love story wasn't anything extraordinary: college sweethearts, a small wedding, and then settling into a predictable life in the suburbs. Ryan is a good man, a provider, the kind of husband most women would be lucky to have. But somewhere along the way, the passion we once had faded into routine. I don't blame him. Life gets in the way. Work, bills, responsibilities. The little moments that used to keep us connected were replaced by schedules and exhaustion. And then Adam arrived. It was early spring when he moved in. I remember watching from my kitchen window as he carried boxes into the house next door. He was younger, mid-20s maybe, tall, athletic, with a sharp jawline and dark, piercing eyes. The kind of man you'd expect to see on the cover of a fitness magazine. His presence was hard to ignore, and I wasn't the only one who noticed. The neighborhood wives whispered about him, sneaking glances when he jogged shirtless in the mornings. I told myself it was nothing, just innocent curiosity. A little spark of attraction wasn't a crime. The first time we spoke was about a week after he moved in. I was watering my front lawn when he walked over, flashing a grin that was both charming and effortless. "Hey, I'm Adam," he said, extending his hand. "Figured I should introduce myself since we're neighbors." "Claire," I replied, shaking his hand. His grip was firm, warm. "Welcome to the neighborhood." "Thanks. Still getting used to everything. Suburbia's a little different from the city." I smiled. "You'll adjust. It's quiet here but not too bad." From that moment on, we saw each other more often. A quick hello when I checked the mail, small talk when I walked past his driveway. He was friendly, easy to talk to, harmless. Or so I thought. A spark I should have ignored. Ryan barely noticed the new neighbor. He was always busy. Early mornings, late nights, conference calls on weekends. He worked hard to give us a comfortable life, and I appreciated that. But sometimes, I wished he would slow down, look at me the way he used to, touch me without it feeling like a routine obligation. Adam, on the other hand, noticed me. It was in the small things. The way he held eye contact just a little longer than necessary. The casual compliments, "Nice dress, Claire. Your hair looks great today." They weren't inappropriate, but they made me feel something I hadn't in years. Seen. One afternoon, I caught him staring while he mowed his lawn. I was on my porch, pretending to scroll through my phone, but I felt his eyes on me. When our gazes met, he didn't look away. Instead, he smirked, just slightly, before turning back to his work. That should have been my warning. I should have gone inside, told myself to stop entertaining foolish thoughts. But I didn't. Because deep down, I liked the attention. I told myself it was harmless. I had everything under control. I had no idea how wrong I was. A favor that changed everything. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon. One of those early spring days where the sun was warm, but not overbearing. Ryan was at work, as usual. I had decided to mow the lawn, a task that Ryan usually handled, but he had been too busy lately. The machine was old, stubborn. No matter how many times I yanked the cord, it refused to start. I was getting frustrated when I heard a voice behind me. "Need some help?" I turned to see Adam standing at the edge of my driveway, wearing a fitted white t-shirt and jeans. His hair was slightly damp, like he'd just stepped out of the shower. I hesitated before answering. "It's been giving me trouble. I think it hates me." He chuckled and walked over. "Mind if I give it a shot?" I stepped aside, watching as he gripped the handle and pulled. The muscles in his arms flexed, his shirt slightly damp with sweat. The lawnmower roared to life within seconds. "Looks like it just needed the right touch," he said, flashing that easy grin. I laughed, wiping my forehead. "Guess I'll have to hire you as my handyman." He smirked. "I wouldn't mind." It was a simple moment, just a neighbor helping out. But the air between us felt different, charged, electric. And in the coming days, that tension would only grow stronger. A dangerous line. That night, as I lay in bed next to Ryan, I replayed the afternoon in my head. The way Adam had looked at me, the way my body had reacted to his presence. I felt guilty for even thinking about it, but the feeling didn't go away. In the days that followed, I found myself outside more often, watering the plants, checking the mail, anything that might give me an excuse to see him. And every time our eyes met, I felt that same pull. A part of me knew I was walking a dangerous line, that if I wasn't careful, something would happen. I told myself I could stop anytime, but I didn't. And soon one afternoon, in the heat of the sun, behind the half-closed garage door, Adam and I would cross a line we could never undo. It was an ordinary afternoon. At least, that's how it started. The sun was high, casting golden light over the neighborhood. Ryan was at work like always, buried in meetings and deadlines. The house was quiet, the kind of silence that should have felt peaceful but instead felt empty. I had planned to finish yard work, trim the hedges, sweep the porch, maybe even try to tackle the stubborn lawn mower again. But before I even started, I saw Adam stepping out of his house, shirtless, a bottle of water in hand. Our eyes met and he smiled. "Taking on the lawn again," he called out. I laughed, shaking my head. "Not after last time. I think I've accepted defeat." He walked closer, his pace unhurried, confident. "I can help if you want." I should have said no. I should have made an excuse, gone inside, shut the door. But I didn't. "Only if you promise it won't make me look completely useless," I joked. He grinned. "No promises." We walked to the garage, where the lawn mower sat like a challenge waiting to be conquered. Adam leaned down, inspecting it, while I stood beside him, arms crossed. "You know," he said, looking up at me, "I think it just needs a little patience." "Is that your expert opinion?" He chuckled. "That and a new spark plug." His eyes locked on mine, and for a moment neither of us spoke. The space between us felt smaller than it should have. I could smell the faint scent of his cologne mixed with sweat and fresh-cut grass. I swallowed hard, breaking the moment. "I'll grab some water." I turned, heading toward the small fridge in the garage. But before I could reach it, I felt him behind me. Close. Too close. I didn't move. His fingers brushed my waist, light, hesitant. Testing. I should have stepped away. I should have said something, anything to stop what was happening. But I didn't. A line crossed. He turned me around slowly, his hands firm but gentle. My back pressed against the metal shelf. My breath caught in my throat. "This is wrong," I whispered. "I know," he said, but he didn't move away. Instead, his fingers trailed up my arm, sending shivers through me. "Tell me to stop." I opened my mouth, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he kissed me. It wasn't rushed or desperate. It was slow, deliberate, like he was giving me a chance to change my mind. But I didn't. I kissed him back. Heat surged through me, my body responding in ways I hadn't felt in years. His hands roamed my sides, pulling me closer, and I let him. My fingers tangled in his hair, my breath shallow as he pressed against me. The garage door was still slightly open. Sunlight streamed in, the sound of a distant lawn mower humming in the background. It should have reminded me of reality, of my husband, of the life I was about to shatter. But in that moment, nothing else existed except Adam. His lips moved down my neck, his hands gripping my waist, pulling me against him. Every touch sent a rush of heat through me, a kind of hunger I had almost forgotten. I knew it was a mistake, but I didn't stop. Not when he whispered my name. Not when he lifted me onto the workbench. Not when his fingers traced my skin, sending shivers down my spine. I let it happen. And when it was over, when we were both breathless and tangled in each other, the weight of what I had done came crashing down. I looked at Adam, his gaze still dark with desire, and I felt the first pang of guilt settle in my chest. This wasn't just a mistake. It was the kind of mistake that changed everything. A dangerous silence. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The air in the garage was thick, hot, heavy, suffocating. I stood up, fixing my clothes, running a hand through my hair, as if that could erase what had just happened. Adam leaned against the wall, watching me, his expression unreadable. "I should go," I muttered. He nodded, but there was something in his eyes, something that told me this wasn't over. I hurried inside, locking the door behind me. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. My hands trembled as I pressed them against my face, reality slamming into me like a freight train. I had just cheated on my husband, not in a moment of weakness after a fight, Not because I was drunk or reckless. I had made a choice I couldn't take back. And the worst part, I wasn't sure if I wanted to. I barely slept that night, lying next to Ryan, feeling the warmth of his body beside me. I expected to be consumed by guilt. And I was. But it wasn't the kind of guilt that made me want to confess. It was the kind that sat heavy in my chest, pressing down. Suffocating, but not enough to erase the memory of what I had done. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt Adam's hands on me. The way his breath had been hot against my skin. The way my body had responded to him so effortlessly, so naturally. What did that say about me? I turned onto my side, staring at Ryan in the dim glow of the bedside lamp. He was sound asleep, his breathing deep and steady. He had no idea that just hours ago, his wife had been tangled up in another man's arms. I should have felt disgusted with myself. But all I felt was conflicted. A silent mourning. The next morning, I went through the motions like nothing had changed. Ryan got up early as always, showered, got dressed, and kissed my forehead before heading out the door. "Have a good day," he said, grabbing his keys. I forced a smile. "You too." And then he was gone. As soon as I heard the garage door shut behind him, I let out a shaky breath. My hands trembled as I gripped my coffee mug. My mind spinning with everything that had happened the day before. I wanted to pretend it was just a moment of weakness, that it had meant nothing. But that would be a lie. I glanced out the window toward Adam's house. His car was in the driveway. He was home. Part of me wanted to see him. The other part, the rational part, knew that was the worst possible idea. I needed to stay away. I needed to forget. But how could I, when every inch of me still remembered? The first temptation. I told myself I wouldn't step outside. But by mid-morning, I was standing on my porch, watering the plants, pretending I wasn't scanning the street for any sign of him. And then, as if the universe was testing me, Adam walked out of his house. His eyes met mine instantly. Neither of us spoke, but the tension between us was undeniable. A slow, knowing smile curved on his lips, and my stomach flipped. I turned quickly, heading back inside before I could do something stupid. Again. But I had barely closed the door when my phone buzzed in my hand. "Adam." Running away from me already? My breath hitched. I stared at the message, my heart pounding. I should have ignored it. I should have deleted it. But instead, my fingers moved on their own. We can't do this." Seconds later his reply came. "Adam, we already did." A shiver ran down my spine. I clenched my jaw, refusing to respond. I needed to shut this down before it spiraled further. But deep down, I knew it was already too late. A moment of weakness. The rest of the day was a blur. I cleaned the house. I ran errands. I did everything I could to keep myself busy, to keep my mind off Adam. But by afternoon, the inevitable happened. I was in the backyard, pulling weeds from the flower bed, when I heard his voice behind me. "Hey." I froze. Slowly, I turned to find Adam standing at the edge of my yard, hands tucked into the pockets of his jeans. He looked good. Too good. I swallowed hard. "You shouldn't be here." He smirked. "Technically, I'm still on my property." I rolled my eyes, standing up and brushing dirt off my hands. "Adam, you don't have to say it," he interrupted. "I know what you're thinking." I crossed my arms. "Because I don't even know what I'm thinking." He took a step closer, his gaze locked on mine. "I think you do." The air between us crackled. I hated how easily he affected me. How one look from him could unravel every bit of logic I tried to hold on to. "Yesterday was a mistake," I said, forcing the words out. He nodded slowly. "Okay." I frowned. "That's it." His lips twitched. "I'm not here to pressure you, Claire. He hesitated. "I can't stop thinking about it." Neither could I. But I couldn't say that. So I turned away, gripping the edge of the patio table like it could steady me. "This can't happen again." Adam exhaled, stepping back. "If that's what you want." I didn't answer, because I wasn't sure what I wanted anymore. A dangerous addiction. That night, I lay in bed with Ryan again, pretending everything was normal. Pretending I wasn't thinking about someone else. Every time my phone buzzed, I felt a thrill of anticipation. And every time I saw Adam's name on the screen, I told myself it would be the last time. But it never was. One message turned into another. One stolen glance turned into lingering stares. One moment of weakness turned into an addiction. And I was falling fast. I knew I was playing with fire. Every glance, every text, every stolen moment with Adam. It all added up to something I couldn't control. Something dangerous. And the worst part? I didn't want to stop. It had been 2 weeks since that afternoon in the garage. 2 weeks of sneaking around, of secret messages and heated whispers. 2 weeks of finding excuses to be outside when I knew Adam would be there. I told myself I had it under control. That as long as Ryan didn't suspect anything, I could keep living my double life. But secrets have a way of unraveling. And mine was about to catch up with me. A shift in Ryan. It started with small things. Ryan would linger in the doorway longer when he left for work, watching me like he was trying to read my mind. His texts during the day became more frequent, short but pointed. Ryan, what are you up to? Ryan, how's your day going? Ryan, you seem distracted lately. Everything okay? I brushed it off, blaming stress, blaming the weather, blaming anything but the truth. But I saw it in his eyes every night when he came home. He knew something was off. He just couldn't put his finger on it. And then came the night that nearly destroyed everything. A near disaster. Ryan was supposed to be working late. That was the only reason I had let Adam into the house. We had been careful before. Only meeting outside, never risking too much. But that night, temptation got the best of me. We started in the kitchen. A kiss that turned into something more, hands wandering, breathing heavy. He lifted me onto the counter, his body pressing into mine, heat pooling in my stomach. I didn't hear the garage door open, but I heard Ryan's footsteps. Panic shot through me. I shoved Adam back, my heart hammering against my ribs. Go! I hissed under my breath, shoving him toward the back door. He slipped out just as Ryan walked in. I barely had time to compose myself before Ryan's eyes landed on me. He frowned. What are you doing? I forced a smile, hoping he couldn't hear the pounding of my heart. Just cleaning up. Ryan's gaze swept over the kitchen, lingering for a second too long on the back door. Then his eyes flickered back to me. Something in his expression shifted. I had seen Ryan mad before, frustrated, exhausted. But this was different. This was suspicion. The first crack. That night, he didn't kiss me before bed. He didn't pull me close the way he usually did. He just lay there, staring at the ceiling, lost in thought. I turned onto my side, my back to him. But I could still feel the weight of his unease pressing against me. I should have been scared. I should have felt guilt twisting in my stomach. But all I felt was the ache of wanting Adam again. Of needing him. Even as my marriage was crumbling around me, I still wasn't ready to let him go. And that was my biggest mistake. Secrets don't stay buried forever. I told myself I could keep up the lie, that Ryan's suspicion would fade. But deep down I knew better. The weight of my betrayal pressed down on me, suffocating yet addictive. Every time I told myself it would be the last time, I found myself in Adam's arms again. And then everything came crashing down. The breaking point. It was a Saturday afternoon. Ryan had taken the car for an oil change, and I thought I had time. Enough time to see Adam one more time. Just a few minutes, just to feel that rush, just to steal another moment. I met him in the garage, the same place where it all started. The air was thick with tension the second our bodies pressed together, lips meeting in a hungry kiss. His hands slid under my shirt, pulling me closer, making me forget about everything except the heat between us. Then I heard the sound. A car door slamming. Panic shot through me as I pushed Adam away, my mind racing. I turned just in time to see Ryan standing in the garage doorway. His expression was unreadable. But his eyes were burning with something I had never seen before. The moment of truth. For a long, agonizing second no one moved. Ryan's gaze flicked between me and Adam, the puzzle pieces snapping into place. His jaw tightened, his fists clenched. And then, in a voice so low it sent a chill down my spine, he asked, "How long?" I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Ryan let out a bitter laugh. "You know what? It doesn't even matter." He turned to Adam, shaking his head in disgust. "Get the hell out of my house." Adam didn't argue. He shot me one last look, something between regret and something darker, before slipping past Ryan and disappearing down the driveway. I stood there frozen as Ryan stepped closer. His hands trembled at his sides, his face a mixture of anger and devastation. "I knew something was off," he said, his voice shaking. "I just didn't want to believe it." Tears burned in my eyes. "Ryan, don't." His voice cracked. "Don't insult me by trying to explain." I felt my whole world crumbling around me. Ryan had never looked at me like this before. Not with love, not with desire, but with. By the time I stepped inside, Ryan was packing a bag. I watched numb, as he threw clothes into a duffel, his movements quick, mechanical. "Where are you going?" I whispered. He didn't look at me. "I need space." Tears slipped down my cheeks. "Ryan, please." He zipped up the bag and finally met my gaze. His eyes were cold, guarded. "I don't know if I can ever forgive you, Claire." His voice was quiet but firm. "I don't even know if I want to." And then he was gone. The aftermath. The silence was unbearable. I sat on the edge of our bed, staring at the empty space where he used to sleep, my chest aching with the weight of my choices. Adam texted me later that night. "Adam, are you okay?" I didn't respond, because the truth was I wasn't. I had ruined everything. And no matter how much I wished I could take it all back, I couldn't. Ryan was gone, and I was left alone with the wreckage of my own making. The lesson I learned. People say time heals everything. I don't know if that's true. Weeks passed. Then months. Ryan never came back. He filed for divorce quietly, without drama, without a fight. He didn't want to hurt me, he just wanted to move on. And Adam? I never saw him again. Eventually, another family moved into his house. And the garage that once held all my sins became just another part of the neighborhood. Life went on. But I would never be the same. Because I had learned the hard way that some mistakes don't come with second chances. Some betrayals can't be undone. And some losses, you carry them forever.